Today I will show you how to use Figma efficiently for your hackathon. And you already saw this question in the notes, but I want to know if any of you actually used Figma before to design something. Hey, okay. Okay, nice. So you know something already. Nice. So this presentation won't be, like deep dive into the Figma because nobody needs this for a hackathon. I just want to show you a set of very useful tools and libraries that you can use in order to produce a very high quality UI with a very little time. So yeah, who am I? Yeah, I'm Asia, Joanna. So I've been a product designer for 7 years now, and 4 of those years I've spent exclusively in Web3. I've built like all sorts of different products, and currently I work at Superfluid Finance, where we build a really awesome stuff. And yeah, why am I here and why it's me who's actually giving you this presentation? I also took part in a few Web3 hackathons. And me and my team have been fortunate enough to win prizes in all of them. So I just wanted to share you tips from me, from designer perspective, how you can actually present your work as the first part, where to focus on so your devs are actually capable of developing it, and yeah, and how to make it fast, right? So the first slide is design to win. And right now I want to show you like just a set of very simple rules, like the design rules, not the Figma rules, but the design rules that it's very important to keep in mind when you actually try to design a simple UI. So first one is first impression matter. And a polished design can actually set your project apart from the others. And I know that during the hackathon, we often want to cut corners, but it doesn't have to take a lot of time or effort to actually produce a high quality UI. And also remember that we will be presenting this idea to the judges, and they will see tens of different projects within the same day. So it's always nice to put like this little extra effort when you have time to actually make sure that the design is polished. And yeah, users often perceive aesthetically pleasing design as design that's more usable. So a bit like fake it till you make it, right? Even if something doesn't work properly, as long as it feels nice, it looks nice, it actually gives people the perception, the impression that it's actually more legit. But yeah, but design is not just aesthetics, and you all know this already. Like pretty UI won't win you nothing if the project is not well thought through. But it really doesn't matter if you code a very complex, technically complex tooling for the developers or some funny retail-oriented product in Web3. So having that said, I want to share with you like 3 simple tips that I notice teams on hackathons often forget about or don't know about that actually can maximize your usability with very little effort. So first one is beware of the cognitive load. The human brain is not optimized for the abstract thinking and data memorization that Web3 products often demand. Interfaces should not contain information that is irrelevant or rarely needed. When it comes to the abstract thinking, humans have extremely limited brain power. So try to provide only necessary information and make sure you put it in a proper context. And in case of Web3 especially, make sure that you actually reuse well-known patterns and language. Don't think about like, new words or like completely new patterns, because like Web3 is complicated as it is, and you want to make sure that judges will understand right away what your project is about. And your hack idea might be very novel, but your UI doesn't really have to be. So hide whatever is irrelevant for your project. One step at a time, break complex tasks into smaller steps in order to decrease cognitive load. So complexity because we are dealing with money. But as I said here, like, be careful not to simplify to the point of abstraction, right? So if you have a full page of different buttons, different inputs, bunch of information, if you can divide it into steps, like a progress bar, a step, or whatever, when it's just one action per screen or like 2, 3 input fields, then you're golden. Try to not make like one huge big pager with one app, because that's also very hard to present, because you are staying, you know, on the same site all the time. You're presenting it to the judges. They are looking at it. They don't know where to look at. You're trying to point at it. It's very hard. So also for your presentation, it's important to actually divide your flows. And last but not least, this is more of a layout comment. So proximity links content. By adjusting the proximity of the elements, you form groups of similar information or traits. This is very important. You have to imagine your content as a group of friends, right? Like, you put those who share the same interest near each other and separate them from the other groups, and that's exactly what you want to do with your content. I noticed that a lot of the teams during the hackathons, they just leave the spacing exactly the same everywhere, which actually makes it very hard to read and understand what are my action points, what are the groups, what should I do now. So it also affects your UX as well.
I think we're fine.
Yes? Oh yes, you're fine. Cool. Last but not least, speed versus perfection. Yeah, so if you want to win a hackathon, Kartik already mentioned this, but I would highly, highly recommend you to build a project that's based around one core feature. And you can add other decoratives if you have time for it. You probably don't. Extra points if you can make it funny, but don't stress too much about things, you know, like graphics, animations, gradients, whatnot. Like, be simple about it. And when it comes to scoping your product, make sure like you first draw a very simple diagrams, very simple wireframes. Make sure like all the scope for the core feature is there, and leave the space for all the, you know, additional features, just in case you actually have the time to implement it. So you can ask yourself a few questions when you are building a core feature and when you are adding those elements. And first one, what is the full scope we want to build, right? So write down all the steps and interactions, and to make sure you didn't forget about anything. Next is how end-to-end flow looks like, and think from the very beginning to the very end before you start designing. I know it sounds very simple, but I noticed during the hackathon, you know, there's a lot of stress. It's chaos in the teams. Like, just remember to be very consistent and start from the beginning to the very end, because then it's easier to cut down the scope that you wrote down and develop whatever is feasible, rather than remembering that you forgot about one very important step and now we have to add a screen and oh my God, it's chaos. So make sure you plan everything accordingly. How can we simplify user flow? We already touched on it. What info is irrelevant? What can we hide or even remove from the UI? Is it readable? So, like, you know, put content into the blocks. And can we divide longer flows into bite-sized steps? Like, so these are the things that actually can simplify your flow, even if it's very complex tooling. No matter what you are building, like, make sure it actually reads well. And last but not least, what are the design blockers for the devs? So Kartik also said that you should start development from the hardest feature, and this also touches on it, because your devs, or whoever will be calling it, it may be you, you usually want to start designing your UI also from the hardest part during the hackathon, because when you do product design, you start, you know, from the connect, wallet, whatever, some different states for the transactions. Start designing from the core feature, and then remembering that you actually might add something later on, leave space for it, and then you can start just slapping it in case you actually can. Okay, so that's the intro, Figma basics. And now this is gonna be tricky, okay? Bear with me. This one, yes. I need to do it like this because I cannot mirror my screen. So this is Figma. Even if you never used it, you probably saw it maybe in a dev mode if you never saw it. This looks simple, but it's actually a very powerful tool that can be used extremely simply to actually produce a good quality UI, right? So like you can, just when you have time, just look around, like you can, draw some shapes, you can draw some paths, add text, here you have some plugins, etc. So this is in the top bar. What's important when you're building a UI, make sure, like you have this chevron, make sure like the snap to pixel grid is selected. It will help you by a lot, and especially in the development. So this is the top bar. Now you have sidebars. On this sidebar, you actually have your pages. So, for example, one page can be dedicated to your final designs that actually are ready for the development. And you can create another page for your workshop, so all the mess is hidden away from the devs and they don't come at you and ask you, hey, okay, which screen is finalized or not. So that's what I would recommend you doing. Here you can see your layers, they are not very needed for anything. And this is where pretty much all the designing happens. So here you can, align your elements. You can adjust the sizing. Auto layout, we will touch on it. This is a magical tool that you will use, I swear, when you know this. Yeah, you can add your fill, stroke. You can add different effects like drop shadows, layer blurs, whatnot, and also you can export your designs. For example, if you want to put them into the slides, so you just select a layer, export, and you're golden. You can just add it to the to your slides. But looking for all the tools, it's extremely annoying and it takes a lot of time. And I think learning shortcuts is very easy because you use it 1 or 2 times and you already know exactly how to use them. Especially that Figma was made by designers for designers, so everything is just ridiculously simple. So pretty much all you will need on Mac is Option, Command, Shift, and I think it's Control, Alt, and Shift on the Windows, and just play around with it. So you can duplicate by Control C, Control V, or you can just hold the Option or Alt and just drag it, and there you go. You have beautiful duplicate, right? I will give you the list of the shortcuts at the end so you can take a picture. Duplicate and move with Shift, the same. I'm holding my Option, but when I actually hold the Shift, I can move the same element into X and Y axis, which actually is also very, very helpful, especially when you are drawing like some inputs or cards or whatever. You want to align them instead of doing this visually, and then your dev is like, what the hell, what should I do with this? Everything looks very tidy. Check spacing. This is something oh my God, every designer uses it just 1,000 times a day. You just hold Option or Alt and you can see in pixels what's the distance between elements. This is very helpful right now. It doesn't look that powerful, but once you actually start designing and you start seeing like this, different movements and pixel differences, it's actually very, very helpful. Mirrored scaling. You can scale it like this and try to be, somewhat precise, but you can also just hold your Alt or Option and just drag it, and there you go. You can just scale it very very proportionally. And yeah, this is a proportional scaling, which is K. So you can scale your images like this and it's fine with the images, but for example, it doesn't work with text, right? Like it just changes the bounding box, and you might also experience this with some like illustrations and whatnot. And then you want to use K. So this actually will scale my text, how big I want it to be. Here I can define, the width and the height if I want to be pixel perfect, but it's a hackathon, so don't worry about it too much. You will figure it out. Sample color, very easy. This should be yellow, and it's yellow. And one thing, I think this is something that actually helps a lot, and you will notice that it's extremely important, which is bring to front and send to back, because sometimes you are moving elements, they are overlapping, something is on top, and you're like, what the hell? And now you're right-clicking, looking for it. It's just brackets. Just use the brackets, and you can move everything up and down. This is extremely helpful. And of course, zoom in and zoom out with Command or Control with scroll, and navigate. Hold spacebar. That's it, and you can move very easily throughout your your workspace. So these are all the shortcuts that you will possibly, like you will Let's go back. Okay. So yeah. So we are behind the interface. Let me find my mouse. It can be here. But now you want to hack your interface, right? You know the shortcuts. You're more or less accustomed to the Figma. But there are still a few tips that you need to remember about, which is consistent color palette. Guys, just one color. Black, white, one primary color, you're good to go. Your design will look super clean. It will look super simple. Everything's readable, beautiful. Consistent spacing, also important. Find your vertical and horizontal rhythm, pretty much, right? So you can use whatever system you want, but it's important to actually have one. It not only speeds up the development, but also makes UI way more readable, making sure like the margins are the same, the distance between button or a text is also the same. You can just copy and paste your components, which you probably will do. But yeah, that's just something to remember about. And keep it tidy. Yeah, not mandatory, but highly recommended. During the hackathon, Figma gets extremely chaotic, and especially when you start designing for the first time, for example, this is extremely chaotic, hard to find screens, even you cannot find them if asked for. So just group them per feature or user flow. That's it. Just group them, make it nice, keep your playground on other page, and believe me, it will speed up your process by a lot. Okay, so this is the end of the rules. Now I want to show you the core of your hackathon design, okay? So this is like the introduction to Figma, because you will need to edit the components, but there is Figma community. And guys, everything you will ever need for your hackathon and for your UI is in Figma community. Let me go to show you. Yeah, so it's this little guy here. If you cannot see it, you just have, like in the drop-down, you have Figma community on your profile. Everything you will ever need to create a UI is here. So you have UI kits, wireframes, illustrations, whatnot, and even a completely finalized product. So for example, what do you want to build? A bridge, right? And there you go, you have a bridge. And you just copy paste it. You can change the fonts, you can change the colors, you can change the theme, but like the main thing is already there. So I really encourage you to use Figma community. It will help you a lot and save you a lot of time Googling. Pretty much that's what this will do. Save you a lot of time Googling. So all the assets are there alongside with the pitch decks. By the way, you don't even need to use anything else other than Figma. But yeah, let's say you want to draw something very simple, and it will take you more time to look for it in the Figma rather than just drawing it from the scratch. So there is auto layout. This is super helpful. Designers use it all the time, and I cannot imagine myself not using it during the hackathon because it speeds up process by a lot. Let me show you here. Oh, okay, this is gonna be challenging. Okay, first of all, I cannot hold the microphone, Monica. Oh, okay. Now I have my personal microphone stand. Thank you. Okay, so you can draw different components in two different ways, right? So one is very natural for our brain, and usually I can see almost nothing, so you have to, excuse me. But one is very natural for your brain. So you think you want a model, right? So when you draw a model, you have a rectangle, you want to have some color, you are adding some corner radius, you are adding some stroke, right? Whatever stroke. And then you are copy pasting it because you know you need because you need, you need the buttons and you also need the rectangle for it. So you just copy it, and now you take the icons, and now you bring it to the front because you already know how to do it. And then you take the text, also bring it to front. And yeah, and now you're in this very weird situation in which, like, just two very simple input fields become problematic because, like, you have to align everything manually, pretty much. Like, okay, I can do this, right? And I can do this, but then I can see at the top is 11, at the bottom is 12, everything is not aligned. I have to go ahead, do it manually, drag everything. If I don't notice this issue in one component, then, and I copied this already, then I have to go, all over again, all over the components. It works great. And it's just a huge mess. It takes a lot of time, and it might not look like it right now because, like, I'm doing it very fast. But once you have like few screens, it actually starts becoming annoying, and it's actually annoying in the development as well. So what you want to do instead is actually do not start like from the big portions. So do not think about the background and layering on top. Think more about like the actual content you want to have there first. So I will copy the MetaMask, right? And now we have this amazing thing, auto layout. You can click it here or just go Shift A. And in the auto layout, what it actually can do is you can define what the elements inside of it are doing exactly. So you can say like it should be on auto, which is like just stick to the sides of the bounding box, or like you want the pixels like to be like the elements to be 6 pixels apart. And you can do it for all your assets very quickly without without doing it manually and wasting 5 hours of your time during the hackathon. And now you can see we have a frame. So what do? Do we draw a rectangle? No. We add a fill to it. We have a fill, and now, yes, we add a stroke of whatever color. And we also want it to be, of course, maybe have a corner radius. And now you can define the margins for all of them. So let's say here should be 12. And now you have a beautifully built component that's actually scaling with how you move it. Because imagine that you actually want to make it wider, make it taller, make whatever with it for your project, because you are designing, you are not accustomed to it, so you want to change it a lot. And you can actually do it with the auto layout very easily instead of just messing around with the manual adjustments. So auto layout is something I would highly recommend you using. And actually, when you try to draw it, I recommend you to just try drawing it like Connect Wallet, just so you get the feel of the feature. Because later on, it will be needed to actually edit the components from the libraries. All of the libraries are built on top of the auto layouts. So if you will want to edit something, you need to more or less know how they behave. But yeah, the libraries. When it comes to the libraries, there are actually Figma has libraries that also have code. So for example, like you can find MUI, like some Tailwind, whatever there is you want to use. There are most probably libraries that are already in Figma that you can reuse. So it's ready to go. You just copy, paste it, change the text, change the color. Your golden UI is done because someone else already drew all the elements for you. But yeah, a few notable mentions of the libraries that I've used in the past, but you can use whatever you want. So SHADCN, it's not an NPM package, but it's beautiful nonetheless. MUI, of course, this is probably one of the most extensive libraries on Figma. And design, also very nice. Radix themes built on, things built on Tailwind, whatnot. On the React, everything is in Figma. and untitled UI. So let's say like you're a dev, you know, you have a framework that works very well for you. You can pretty much do any UI very fast. So you don't really care if a person uses ready to use elements from the library. Untitled UI doesn't have a code, but it's extremely beautiful, well thought out, always updated. So I also recommend this as an option to go, or just search for UI kit, whatever you need. And now, last but not least, how to use this library, right? We have to do something with it. So let's say I want to have a button in my component. So let's go here, UI kits. Let's go with the MUI because why not? I want to open it in Figma. I always make a copy because only then you can actually edit it. It's opening. I'm finishing, guys, I promise. I know it's very compact, but I swear it will be very helpful to you. Yeah, so as you can see here, can I grab it? Yes. As you can see here, you have all the components that you would ever dream of. Cards, I cannot see what it is, checkboxes, yeah, and you have buttons. But then you see like this huge amount of buttons and you will think, oh yeah, now I have to go and copy paste every button from the library, right? Not really. So let's copy this boy. This widget was already made in auto layout, so I will show it to you here. So now I want to add a button at the bottom, right? So I paste it at the bottom of my wallet connection. And in this case, you know, I would have to go like this and manually adjust everything, make sure the spacing is right. It's just a nightmare. It takes a lot of time. And in this case, you just grab a button. You can change this to fill container, or you can just drag it manually. It doesn't matter. Do what you feel is right for your usage. You can just change the text to a connect. And now, actually, because you already have a well-built library, here on your right side, you have all the states defined in the design system that you are using, right? So you can use the outline version. You have used like the elevated version. Yeah, the MUI is over the top, but you get the gist. You can have a focus. You can show icon. Oh yeah, of course, it doesn't work like it should. You can show icon. You can do whatever you want with it. You can also, you know, change the margins inside of the button. So you can pretty much do whatever you want with the components, and all of them are built with the auto layout. So for you to know that there are like auto layout options to use, it's very important and also extremely helpful. Questions? Sorry, that was longish, but yeah, I hope it will actually help you to deliver some UIs worth seeing. No questions. Cool.
Nobody? I once won a hackathon just with design. So guys, if you want to ask some questions, it's a good moment to do so.
Yeah, I will be around, so if you will have any questions, just ask, or you can drop me a message later on. Yeah, but that's it. Thank you very much.
Cool. Thank you so much.